Welcome to Road America as Ferrari turns this fantastic circuit red for this weekend of the Ferrari Challenge, an extraordinary place just outside the village of Chequered. This extraordinary track, some 4 miles long and really challenging for the drivers, will offer a fitting test in the sunshine as well, as the weather conditions are glorious and set for our drivers across their races this weekend as we reach the very sharp end of Ferrari Challenge North America for 2023. Having been to Miami and Cota and Road Atlanta and Montreal and Sonoma, here we find ourselves then at Road America, ready for the lights to go green. Hello, good afternoon, and here we are then in Road America, and it is the Coppa Shell Race 2 of the weekend. Come, a mix of Shell and Shell&AM drivers who will take to the track, which is dry now. It wasn't when it came to their qualifying earlier on today, which means we've got a sort of a mixed up order in terms of the grid. Shay is alongside me here, and it does prove that it's going to be a really, really interesting race, I'm sure. There you can see our 2023 calendar, and following this event, our Shell and Shell&AM drivers have the Finale Mondiale to look forward to in Mugello in Italy. So here we are then, Road America, and this is a fascinating and truly lovely place, Shay.
It really is. Where are we in the world? Well, we're basically on par with Toronto. If you think about the latitude, that is how far north we are up in Wisconsin. It is bratwurst country, corn country, cheese country, a wonderful place to be. But this circuit is one that has captivated the hearts of racers all over the country, and particularly in this region of the world since the mid-1950s. 14 corners, 4.048 miles, newly repaved, but it has some of the most famous corners in all of motorsport. We've got the carousel, very tricky, long-duration corner, also known as Turn 9. The kink at the exit of the carousel going into Canada corner, known such because if you missed your braking markers, you were going all the way north of the border. Turn 1, very tricky. Turn 3, Turn 5, and yesterday, Turn 6 proved to be pretty good for some passing. But it is the final corner in the long run up that very long front straight that makes you regret it if you get it wrong for the longest period of time.
So the answer is, don't get it wrong. Air temperature is 21 degrees. Track temperature is 26 degrees at the moment. Quite a lot of cloud cover as well. So this is the Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell&AM race that we are looking forward to. And to find out a little bit more about the track, and the carousel in particular, we call upon was one Mr. Thor Haugen.
Hi, I'm Thor Haugen, driver of the number 125 car with Scuderia Corse, and this is Know the Track. So here we are at the carousel. We come into the corner on the outside, short shift, up a gear, typically into 5th, come into the inside corner, maintaining as much maintenance throttle as possible. General idea is hug the inside line as much as possible with as much throttle as possible till you hit the inside curb on the other corner, and then add some gas and push out towards the outside curb. So something that's difficult to see on television is the elevation change in this corner. So it is downhill. It's not a huge downhill, but it's downhill. So you're increasing speed, hugging the inside line. Right around the inside curb here is where you're going to start to get back on the throttle. Still hugging the inside curb until you can just let the car push to the outside. Here we are at the exit of the carousel. We start applying throttle at the inside curb there, letting the car push out to the outside and pick up this outside curb here. The big danger is too much throttle and putting a wheel off because there's nothing but nice slippery grass and a wall on the outside. So you need to make sure that your throttle application is nice and smooth and you keep the car where it needs to be. Thank you for joining me here at the carousel, and this was Know the Track.
Thank you so much, Tor, for your explanation of that fascinating corner here at Road America. And let's go down onto the tarmac right now because Amanda Busick is standing by. Good afternoon.
Hey, Dave, I have quite a few bit of updates down here, including a Mother Nature one, but I'm going to get to that in just a second. I want you to keep your eye on car 123 because we're about to lose them for our recon laps, and I'll tell you why when I get back to it. But first, the update. There are sprinkles down here. We're not assuming that it's going to be anything of material here, but I did see teams will in some of the wet tires as we get ready for this final race here on American soil for the Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell&AM classes. In talking to a lot of the drivers ahead of this race, it's almost like the last day of school, Phil. Everyone's kind of relaxed. Everyone's ready to get in their groove. I talked to Bruce Cleveland about the year that he's had so far, and he said, man, it's just been a year of growth, and I can't believe that it's actually being able to be on display here as I round out my season. Also talking to Lisa Clark, and she said it's been a year of growth for her that has allowed her to believe in herself. But I expect the same kind of racing we saw yesterday. It's probably going to come down to the last lap, and that is a treat for all of us. Well, that 123 Ferrari that I pointed out earlier, you'll notice as those cars just went by, so many different liveries that are the choices of our drivers, so much personality reflected. Let's see why Rod McWilliams found his.
I've loved cars my entire life, and I had a government contracting business that I ran for about 18 years. I decided I might want to sort of step back from my company and start racing. I'd always wanted to do it. You know, my kids were old enough, and they wanted to support me doing this. So we started doing the Corse Pelota course. We started buying road cars, so we have a LaFerrari, SF90, and sort of got the bug to start racing Ferraris, and here we are. So I have 4 amazing kids. What you'll see is hearts and clovers on the car. We have a farm, Clover Farms, and we actually do wounded warrior hunting and fishing for guys with service dogs or just getting out of the military. And so I incorporated, you know, sort of our farm in with my children as well. You know, we try to take certain elements from, you know, my girlfriend's on the front of the car, the kids are on the side of the car, the lion in our farm is on there. And, you know, in a lot of ways, sort of a shout out to, you know, sort of the cars that we've had in the past and then just the brand in general. We love the sport, and we love racing with Ferrari. They're amazing cars, and I love making something unique and trying to show off the 488. There's so much energy that's positive. It's my first year racing, first year competing, and I love every second of it. You know, I'm learning a lot, I'm having a lot of fun. You know, the events that Ferrari puts on is amazing. I think us being able to spend time with fans, young kids, you know, veterans, getting people out here, that's what the sport is all about, and I love being a part of it.
Shay, isn't it fascinating to hear from a driver's perspective how much pride and what personality goes into the design of their particular cars? And it's great to hear from Rob there, and it is a truly stunning, stunning looking car.
It really is, and I love it so much. That's one of the benefits of this championship in particular, that normally drivers' creativity is limited to what they can control, namely their helmets. So that's where they distinguish their personalities. For Ferrari, they get a canvas of, if you will, a blank 488 challenge car.
Yes.
Do with it what you will. And so each of the cars that we get to see lap after lap is a direct reflection on each driver. The creativity of Rob McWilliams, by far one of the best in this race, and his ability to incorporate so many different aspects of his life that he said matter to him, like his girlfriend, his kids, to put that on full display lap after lap. I love it.
Oh, it's absolutely extraordinary. And when you delve a little bit deeper into actually the design of the cars that come from the Prancing Horse brand, I mean, I'm very, very lucky in that I've been able to spend quite a bit of time with Flavio Manzoni, who is the Chief Design Officer at Ferrari. And the passion that exudes from him in the position that he is in, you can understand perhaps why and how we get the utter beauty we do across the cars. This, of course, the 488 Challenge Evo, but if you look at all the cars, whatever model it happens to be, it is a thing of beauty.
And next year we're going to get to start all over again because it's all new blank canvases, so a new body shape design. I can't wait to see what colors are chosen in particular, because every single car on this grid has something that distinguishes it from everyone else. Yes, we have backup cars in play in form of other ones, but even then, David Veronin, who's not in his primary car, he's using Roy Carroll's backup car, so the liveries are very same. Veronin has still put Migway on the quarter panels of the Ferrari that he is in to distinguish it from Roy's car.
Yes.
So the creativity still carries over between, but we get to see all the different colors. That's the first thing that catches your eye. And then you start looking at the finer details, and that's where your heart really starts to beat.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. It's a truly wonderful experience. And, of course, to see those cars doing what they do around this track is absolutely wonderful, and it's a privilege for Shay and I to be able to bring you the action. Just one of the drivers that takes part in the Ferrari Challenge. A great guy, and his name is Eric Marston. Let's meet him now.
I want to start off by asking you, what was it like to stand on the podium at Montreal?
Amazing. Luckily, it's my second time on the podium in Montreal. Kind of can't believe that you're actually doing it, that it's not more than just a dream.
How did this Ferrari passion begin with you?
Started super young. Ferrari was like the first thing I ever wanted that wasn't a toy. It was Magnum PI, like probably a lot of guys my age, you know, I saw that show and I was like, oh, I gotta have that car.
What is it about racing Ferraris that you enjoy?
The adrenaline, the thrill. I mean, just being out there, like pushing everything to the limit, not knowing exactly where the limit is, but like being able to find it somehow, and it's just a huge thrill.
Is it the car, the brand, the hospitality? What is it about Ferrari Challenge in particular that keeps you coming back to this series?
Definitely the car and the brand, I'd say first and foremost. I'm just a Ferrari fanatic. And this car is owned by Rick Mancuso, and he helped me. He showed me, even took me in the back an F50 because they were brand new then, and he told me I hadn't even heard before about Ferrari Challenge because it had just started a couple years before. He's like, oh yeah, there's this thing called Ferrari Challenge. I thought, wow, if I could ever race Ferraris, like that would be just beyond anything I could imagine.
Imagination beyond expectation. Thank you, Eric, for sparing some time with us. Great story, Shay.
Yeah, now he gets to experience that thrill every week in, week out that Ferrari Challenge participates. He's one of our series staples, and Eric getting back on the podium again at Montreal, looking to try and replicate that success right here in another place that means a lot to him, so it'd be kind of cool. Not from too far away, from the state of Ohio originally, so Eric Marsden with driving distance, a bit of a long drive if you were to invite friends and family to come up, but now calls California home. And these are not very California weather-like conditions we're having out there. I don't think it's going to rain, at least we hope it's not. In the driver's meeting, they said, we don't expect any more wet weather.
Right.
So, of course, that explains the sprinkles on the grid.
Of course, our fingers and everything else are crossed as well, because we hope not. We want it to be a dry track and a great race from Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell&AM. As you can see, the cars assembling there in the assembly area with the flashing lights atop the Richard Mille safety car, which, of course, will lead the cars away. And there you can see to the bottom left-hand corner the Corral and also the Ferrari hospitality here, which forms so much a part of race weekend with Ferrari Challenge.
There are a lot of yellow cars in the paddock this weekend. I wonder if that has anything to do with the Green Bay Packers, the local team not too far away from here, playing the Chicago Bears later on today. So people driving safe on the highway. But now it's time to get this game kicked off. And before we can do that, Amanda Busick gets to say those very special words. And Amanda, how is it down on the grid? Not quite ready for Amanda yet, but we will wait and see when the command is going to be given. All the people are clearing off of the grid. Dave, I think we're getting ready to roll off here.
We are, and as time served as you and I are, we still get really, really excited at this part, don't we? You know, as the final personnel leave the grid, as you say, the butterflies begin to go, and you get excited. Whatever it must it be like to be in the car? Well, I can only imagine that, of course, because I have no talent in that direction. Direction.
My favorite position is right where Richard is standing, where he is waiting to direct the cars to roll off. You've got Martin Raffoff walking down the grid, making sure that all the team members clear off, and particularly nobody touches the cars after they're supposed to. Now we've got the safety car getting ready to roll. We've got Joey, our camera guy, bravely in between all the cars as they roll off.
Yes,
we appreciate your dedication, Joey.
Absolutely.
And now just waiting for the safety car to get the command, and then the Ferrari 488 challenge cars will follow them out of the pit lane. 27 of them set to see the green flag for today's race, 16 in the Coppa Shell category, and 11 in Shell&AM.
It's going to be a great race. Now, this is the shot that Joey brings us, and it's a wonderful shot as we see either side of that vantage point. The 488 Challenge Evos then roaring down this assembly area out onto the track behind the Richard Mille safety car for their formation lap. Of course, we'll bring you the grid in full, and we're standing by because it is going to be race 2 for Ferrari Challenge, Coppa Shell. see champing at the bit is Cameron Root in the green and white livery to 488 Challenge Evo, and there's lots of others champing at the pit, including Surreal Choxy, who's just gone through on a shot. There's Gray Falver, and there, of course, Roy Carroll. Let's bring you the grid in full, followed by David Verona. The cars looking almost identical, right? And Shay and I will bring you the grid in full. Row 1, pole position, Cameron Root. Alongside is Osvaldo Gallo. Goes from P2, then it's Surreal Choxy and Gray Falver. Here comes row 3 with Shay.
We're going to have Roy Carroll in the first of the Be Safe cars alongside Paul Mosca, who made a great debut in yesterday's race. David Veronin and Jan Bernier make up row number 4.
So to row 5 we go next, where we find Frank Szczesniak. He was a bit of a star of the show yesterday, and Matt Dalton alongside. They are P9 and P10 respectively, and they're ahead of Tor Haugen and Eric Marston, 2 guys that we've heard from in our pre-show.
Another guy that we heard from is Rob McWilliams. He is on the row number 7 alongside John Viscup, starting in the 14th spot. And then we find our Coppa Shell&AM pole sitter Bruce Cleveland starting alongside Ray Acosta on the not preferred side of the track.
You're right, Jeffrey Nunberg and Darren Bernstein then are on the 9th row of the grid. They share positions 17 and 18 ahead of Steve Check and Dan Cornish. Dan could be a danger man from there. Keep an eye on that. That's the 10th row of our grid.
Roger Montefiore is on row number 11 alongside Lance Colley, still in this championship as Lance needs to claw back some points, but Lisa Clark, championship leader, starts behind him alongside Louis Perusquia.
You expect to see potentially some overtaking from Lisa, Neil Langberg and David Williams, then P25 and P26 for Ferrari South Bay and Ferrari Central Florida, and Mike Luley then is not in the race.
It's going to be an eventful start. We've got a lot of cars raring to go, and as you pointed out, a couple of people in this championship who are well and truly out of place. David Veronin starting 7th, second in the championship, trying to catch up to our pole sitter Cameron Root. Osvaldo Gallo, excellent qualifying from him in the mixed conditions to put his car 2nd overall. That's going to be a lot of fun. In the Shell&AM class, watch Bruce Cleveland. He has been the man to beat. The last 7 races, 6 of those trips have been to either the top or 2nd step of the podium. We do have Amanda Busick down on the pit lane now. Amanda, what have you noticed while the cars are on their outlap?
Well, I do want to say another person to keep notice of is Roy Carroll. He has been struggling through some issues here this weekend, was racing without communication and predictive in that Ferrari yesterday, has that back. So that's why we saw a jump in qualifying for Roy Carroll. But I do want to do an update here. I was trying to tell you guys earlier, I actually see sunshine peeking through these clouds. So it is back to that glorious weather that you were talking about, Dave, at the top of the show.
Thank you so much, Amanda. That's really great news. So sun is shining, and long may it do so, certainly for the duration of the races that we have to come, and very nearly reaching the conclusion of this formation lap then. Always a rolling start with the Ferrari Challenge. 30 minutes of race action to come here, and we split the screen so we can show you the inputs of the driver inside the car, and also how Bruce Cleveland's car is reacting to those inputs that he's putting through the steering wheel down there. The Richard Mille safety car will peel off into the pit lane, and then it will be hold on to your hats and any other form of loose clothing that you may have, because we will be about to go racing with our mix of Coppa Shell and Coppa Shell&AM drivers. Right now they have that long climb across that hill which leads to the start and finish line, and yeah, loving this split screen then. The car's in absolutely perfect side-by-side grid formation. Shay, it's looking good.
They did get praise from race control from both of the starts yesterday. Everybody staying in their column formation, not going too early, not backing them up badly. This looks like another clean start.
Absolutely textbook stuff here from Osvaldo Gallo and Cameron Root then, and who is going to be first to give it 100% on the loud pedal and get this race going. It's a great start from Cameron Root. Now, Surreal Choxy is going to be able to try and take advantage here and put himself ahead of Osvaldo Gallo going into turn number 1. You can see the 2 B-Safe cars looking absolutely identical, very, very similar there. Surreal Choxy has done it and has moved up into P2, and regrettably Osvaldo Gallo losing out on a couple, if not 3 places right at the start.
He did drop back 3 spots. He's going to lose another one to Roy Carroll as well. Roy is on a charge. There was a bit of debris that flew up further back as Jan Bernier goes for a wild ride through turn 3. Does not collect anyone, so that's the good news. He's still on top of the gravel. Hopefully he can get it moving. excellent job, Jan, to keep it rolling and to avoid a full course caution, but there was a great deal of debris that was thrown up on the front straight after the start finish. Dave, we're going to have to keep an eye on that because there could be carbon shards around the track.
Okay, yeah, and I have to say, huge well done to all the drivers who managed to avoid the stricken Jan as he was sideways across the track. So brilliant awareness from all the drivers, and they did really, really well in terms of avoidance. So let's get back to it then. And Cameron Root, as I said, he got a perfect start and broke away and has broken away just a bit. The rest of them are all following through, and you can see they're exploring the limits of adhesion here by running just a little bit out wide and seeing where they can put the car. And Ray Acosta, we can see there now at the back of the pack with regards to the Shell drivers.
Well, and the other thing too is this track is effectively new because when they ran this morning, it was a wet surface for both the Coppa Shell and the Coppa Shell&AM categories. They were on the wet weather Pirelli tires, and all the grip that was laid down yesterday, that's gone. The rain washed that away.
Surreal Choxy's coming under some pressure for that P2 position that he holds right now. Who's the pressure coming from? It's Gray Falver, if I'm not mistaken, here. Just trying to take a look at Surreal Choxy, whose rear view monitor is absolutely full of that Gray Falver car, and just behind Gray Falver as well. Well,
it's David Veronin.
It is David Veronin, who's made a blistering start, hasn't he? And he's trying to make his way up the road to try and get on terms with Cameron Root. He's got a couple of 488 Challenge Evos to try and get past to do that. So as they climb up the hill and put the first lap in the book, we are racing with Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. The race is being led by Cameron Root, and he has got a reasonably comfortable margin over Surreal Choxy, who's really rather busy defending him from the likes of Gray Falver and David Veronin, etc., etc.
So where did Roy Carroll go? Because he had a great start and dropped back to 8th position. Leader in Shell&AM has also changed through all of that kerfuffle. Jeffrey Nunberg now leads the category. He's got Eric Marston between himself and then Steve Check for 2nd in class. 3rd is our pole sitter Bruce Cleveland. 4th, Roger Monteforte, and 5th, already up to 5th, is Lisa Clark.
Yeah, so what did happen? But Steve Check showed great promise yesterday, didn't he? I'm not surprised by the progress that he's making, running in that P2 position in the Coppa Shell&AM category currently. So Root, Choxy, Falver, then it is Veronin. Osvaldo Gallo then, so drop back to P5 right now. So we will see how this develops here, and quite a battle going on. And Bruce Cleveland then trying to make up as many places as he possibly can here. That's well, brave.
It was, but it worked. It paid off. He got around John Viscup, a man who was actually called out in the drivers' meeting as an example from yesterday. So really good to see the drivers learning from the examples of other people, what to do and what not to do in both situations. And John Viscup, very clean driving there. I like that a lot. As Bruce Cleveland has looked down Steve Check on the inside going into turn 7, backs out of it. Very smart.
Yeah, driving with his head there, to be fair, and was not going to be able to make that work. So discretion the better part of valor there, and well done to Bruce, and well done to Steve Check as well. So Steve Check has got his rear view monitor full of the Bruce Cleveland car then, currently running P3 in this particular category. And as you can see, there is some competition from behind as well, though, because Roger Monteforte just fancies a podium out of this race, and why wouldn't he indeed?
And you know what? Roger Monteforte got a giant round of applause in the drivers' meeting for his antics yesterday. He had an issue, lap 1, turn 3, as Bruce Cleveland dives down the inside of Canada corner trying to make the pass on Steve Check. Can't quite get it done, but he's still there. They're gonna, oh, now he falls back in the line. Good move, Bruce. It wasn't on going into Billy Mitchell Bend, so glad to see that he waited. But a big round of applause for Roger Monteforte because he moved the car off the track when he had an issue to avoid going to full course caution, and everyone thanked him for that.
Gray Falver just had for a moment David Veronin on his inside, but David backed out of that move as well, and that's in the Shell battle that we're watching right now. At the moment, David Veronin running in P4. Ahead of him is Gray Falver, and then it's Surreal Choxy that's running P2, and then you have Cameron Root, and there he is, center screen right now, who's built up a margin of some 2.5 seconds in the lead of this race. For Coppa Shell&AM, it's Jeff Nunberg leading from Steve Check and Bruce Cleveland and Roger Monteforte. And here we can see on the left-hand side of your screen then the situation with regards to P2 through to P4. So Bruce Cleveland really full of this, but of course as he's trying to attack, that is playing into the hands a little bit of Roger Monteforte as well, who's going to try and take advantage also. So you're in this position where you're hunting and being hunted at the same time.
Yes, but let's keep in mind this is the battle for second. Jeffrey Nunberg has cleared off, so Bruce Cleveland wants to try and get back on terms with Jeff Nunberg, who currently has a 10-second advantage over second in category. That is magnificent.
Brilliant driving from Jeff Nunberg then. And you can see Bruce Cleveland continuing to chase down. And Roger Monteforte, and then it's Viscup Dalton. Then we can just see into the picture Lisa Clark as well, as now Bruce dives to the inside. This time, well, Steve ran wide, which played into the hands a little bit there of Bruce Cleveland. He was given something of an advantage, to be fair, Shay.
He was, Steve Check, leaving room for Bruce Cleveland at the apex of turn 7. Just ran a little bit wide and then didn't have the ability to drag the car back over to line up for the carousel, but he has managed to stay ahead of Roger Monteforte, at least until they go side by side going into the kink. Oh, that was a brave moment. Both cars backing off of it significantly, and now Matt Dalton is going to sneak through and gain an advantage on Monteforte. Different classes, but still racing for overall position. Dalton trying to get clear of this battle. He wants nothing to do with these competitors.
And to be fair, Matt Dalton has done a very good job there.
Very good.
It was opportunistic, but he took that opportune and he made it work. So, and now you can see how he's cleared off up the road ahead.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye. That's what Matt Dalton's saying. Have fun, kids.
Yeah.
Stay safe. And now John Viscup looking to do exactly the same thing to Steve Check. He, too, wants to catch back up to Matt Dalton because that's the battle that he was embroiled in.
Indeed so. Indeed so. So as the cars cross the crest then and past the timing line once again, it's as we were in terms of Shell with Cameron Roots, Surreal Choxy and Greg Fowler, the 1, 2, 3. Then for the AM class, it's Jeff Nunberg, and then it's Bruce Cleveland and Steve Check.
Jan Bernier was trying to make up positions again after that spin earlier on, and he was diving down the inside. I think it was Lance Colley going into turn number 1. Hopefully that was all good and clean as the battle persists for second, third, and fourth in the Shell category. Surreal Choxy with his mirror full of Gray Favre. No, it's now David Veronin.
Yes.
Then Gray Favre, then Osvaldo Gallo. So a little bit of a change-up at the overall front of the field.
So David Veronin then, who is in not his car, but has performed really rather well over the weekend.
Yeah, and for David Veronin, the lucky thing is that the cars are all exactly the same. Watch how he manages to drag past Gray Favre. Beautiful move. Now, he could have less wing angle in his car. There are slight things that the teams can tweak to make the cars more drivable for their particular driver, because everybody has their different comfort preference levels. But the good news for Veronin is all the cars are identical, and he doesn't have to contend with anything except perhaps a different seating position. Right, Amanda?
Yeah, and Shay, I was talking to the team after qualifying. David Veronin started P7, was a little bit off of pace earlier today, but they actually think that David may have burnt through the tires during that qualifying session, so they weren't worried about the race distance for Veronin as we see him already getting competitive early on in this race.
He has had a great start so far to this race, has David Veronin, vaulting up the positions early on in lap number 1, wasting no time. But we just had a perfect example of how difficult this circuit is right now, because John Viscup tried to go around the outside of Steve Check on the carousel. Normally that's a doable situation, but it didn't work because the two cars, variety, all about how long you can keep your right foot down. Well, the grip just wasn't there for Veronin, so he had to fall back in line, and now he is still trying to find a way by Check.
There you can see the 1-2-2 car of Frank Szczesniak, and involved in a slight battle there with Paul Losker. And I was saying to Frank Szczesniak yesterday at the party what a great entertainer he was for us. He gave us some great things to talk about. He's continuing that quest today.
He's finding new corners at which to make passes. Yesterday was turn 6 was his speciality. Today it's turn 3 apparently, getting by Paul. Again, doing a great job. Only his second weekend in racing, and Paul Loska making his debut at Road America yesterday. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So there, the back end of the Szczesniak car then is escaping up the road now as the first third of the race is done and dusted. It's Cameron Roots, Surreal Choxy and David Veronin.
And just to add on what Amanda was saying, David Veronin with the speed, fastest lap of the race so far.
He wants to get on terms with Cameron Root, and next in his target sights and upon his focus will be the car of Cyril Choksi, of course. So we continue to watch this little battle going on here with Jeff Nunberg, who, as you say, has done remarkably well. He's up into P1. He's got the comfort cushion, if you like, of Eric Marston right behind before Bruce Cleveland can even take a look, and he's so far back relative to Jeff Nunberg that you can't even see them in the same shot here. So Jeff Nunberg doing a brilliant job for Ferrari of Central New Jersey.
He was the holder of the fastest lap in class until that last lap around when Bruce Cleveland took it back. Bruce is pushing hard, but it is a 9-second gap from first to second in Shell&AM. It's going to take a lot of really hard push laps for Cleveland to get to him, let alone past him.
Yes, there is Cameron Root then disappearing up under the bridge there that you can see, and there he is, P1. There is Cyril Choksi. For the moment, he's able to breathe a sigh of relief. He's got enough of a margin between himself and David Veronin to not be troubled too much, although David Veronin may be king of the late breakers here and does get a lot closer to Cyril Choksi going into turn number 1. And around turn number 1 they go. In the meantime here, as David Veronin does set the fastest lap, Roger Monteforte was just taking a look at the inside there of John Visca, but nothing doing.
He's going to open himself up to attack from Lisa Clark too, and that is a very dangerous position for Roger Monteforte to be in, because Lisa Clark, championship leader, did not get there by accident, as Dan Cornish goes for a bit of a wild ride through turn 13, manages to keep it on the racetrack, and he is too trying to get around Lisa Clark.
Dan gave us a couple of dust-blown displays yesterday, didn't he? But both times was able to save the car, and has proved that he can continue to do that today, which is good to see. So, who is going to take a dive to the inside here? But of course, you can't carry the same momentum through turn number 1, and that's where that momentum paid off. Now, who is that on?
Would that be Eric Marston,
It's
perhaps?
certainly an all-red car, isn't it?
It is. This might result in a full course caution because that car was not near a safety gap in the wall to be able to be pulled back behind it. But we do continue racing for now as the green flag is still displayed, and Lisa Clark is all over Roger Monteforte. She's having a dive down the inside. A look, come on, be late on the brakes. That might be too late on the brakes for Lisa, and she very wisely backs out of it. Roger Monteforte, race how you want to be raced. He did exactly the right thing there. Ran a little bit wide, rather than chop down across the nose of Lisa.
Yes.
He says, you know what, I'll give you the position for now. I'll try and get it back.
Well, there we are, and that's really good. Very, very good discipline from the drivers in terms of giving racing room and avoiding collisions. Lisa able to take advantage of that. And just as we see another attempt here going into that turn, here's Amanda live from the pit lane.
Well, Dave, I know you've talked about Lisa's adventures all over the world in racing. I was saying at the top of the show that I've really enjoyed how she said that this year was all about learning to trust herself. And as we just walked through that booth, that is a prime example of trusting yourself and when to back out and when to maybe push it. But when you think of drivers that have been in the series for a while, I find it kind of neat that there's, you have a foundation and then you build off of that. So do you see that in other drivers here this season?
As always, the answer has got to be yes, I suppose. But forgive me, I was just distracted by David Veronin, who really has reeled in Cyril Choksi now, like I said, on the end of his fishing line here, and here we can see where is he going to really pressure Cyril Choksi. And what he really wants is for Cyril to make just the tiniest of errors, and then like a viper, he would be through on his prey being Cyril Choksi at the moment.
And unfortunately for Roger Monteforte, it was that slight kindness of avoiding Lisa Clark in turn 5. Pushed him off the line. He got debris on his tires. In effect, clag, I think is the word that we've been using. But that resulted in him falling prey to other cars in his class, and he very wisely and kindly and smart as far as car preservation is concerned, which is always a good thing when you're playing this game, backed out of it and allowed a couple other cars to get by just while he was able to clean his Pirelli tires.
This is a fantastic three-way fight that we're watching for P2 in terms of Coppa Shell here. P2 currently is Cyril Choksi, then it's David Veronin, and then it's Greg Falver, who's running in P4 at the moment. There's very little between all three of these drivers. The only thing we would say is that David Veronin has got proven pace, hence the fastest laps that he has set. But Cyril Choksi doing a very good job of very fairly defending his track position, which is his right to do. And to be fair, Cameron Root he's built that 2.3 second margin. He's not really increased that, Shay.
Nope.
So these three drivers have got very, very good pace as well.
The problem for Grey Favre is he's never finished off the podium in a Ferrari Challenge race, and currently he's running in P4. So he has that extra incentive to try and get up to David Veronin, who has the added incentive of, I still want to try and win this championship, but I need to take points off Cameron Root, and therefore I need to get around Cyril Choksi. And then you've got Cyril, who's saying, I haven't won a race in a while. I'd kind of like to do that. Please go away. As David Veronin massively outbrakes himself going into turn 1, runs wide, does keep it on the curbing. That was a good save. And he is still on the tail of Grey Favre, who is now all over Cyril Choksi.
Yeah, Grey Favre tried to take advantage of the fact that Cyril Choksi left half a door open for him, and that was as a result of Veronin trying. And this is where David, he came from some way back, thought about it, and then thought, you know what, I'm going to commit to this. But there was no way he was going to be able to scrub the speed off and get that car rotated through the turn. However,
it's what we've been talking about. Braking offline is an issue because the grip just isn't there. Grey Favre sliding the car through turn 5 as Veronin did get back around him. I think that must have happened somewhere after the exit of turn 3.
Yes. And,
Veronin is hungry today, Dave.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And, you know, with 13 and a half minutes still within the race, he feels that if he could dispose of Cyril Choksi ahead, would he have half a chance to get on terms with Cameron Root? Well, Cameron has just increased his margin a bit, but he's obviously got pace. But as you have said, and you've kindly alluded to, there is a brilliant line around this circuit, but you know, potentials to overtake are relatively limited.
Stay on the racing line, and if you can, force your opponent to go off of it.
Yeah.
That would be the easiest way to get things done. But speaking of hunger, Bruce Cleveland has it as well. After starting on the pole position and dropping down several places in the opening lap, he is now within 1.5 seconds of Jeff Nunberg after some blistering lap times, and he has been reeling in the Ferrari of Central New Jersey drivers slowly and steadily. But that's going to be a battle for the lead here shortly.
And presumably Bruce Cleveland is feeling, do you know what, I've had an unbroken run of success and I don't want that run to stop. So he's got additional incentive as well. And to get within 1.5 seconds of Jeff Nunberg, proving that he really has got pace in that car. In fact, last time around, he was significantly quicker. And here we can see that very battle that is going on for the P1 position in Coppa Shell&AM, as he is all over the back of Jeffrey Nunberg here. So Bruce Cleveland wanting to maintain his unbroken run of success here. What's stopping him doing that? Well, it is the 141 car of the Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver Jeff Nunberg. Let's ride on board right now with Bruce Cleveland and see what it's like from a driver's eye perspective. And you can see Jeffrey Nunberg just getting a little bit loose there on the exit of that turn. Does that allow Bruce Cleveland to get the draft coming up the hill? And I don't think he's close enough to be able to have a go going into turn number 1, Shay.
Not this lap. Jeff Nunberg is a driver who's finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, but never in that top step of the podium. He'll have his elbows out of it, particularly with someone involved in this championship battle when he himself is just looking for a race win.
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course. So, yes, you're absolutely right. He's going to stick his elbows out and defend his track position, as indeed is his right. So Bruce is going to have to work really, really hard here to try and find a way past that 141 car, but he's certainly going to have a go.
Steve Check has dropped down quite a few positions that last lap around, with Lisa Clark now provisionally in a podium position. But the driver that's caught my attention, Rob McWilliams, with the most colorful car on the racetrack, also the fastest by a lot that last lap around. He did a 2:10.688 when the leaders, the leading trio battle that we've got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, did 2:13s.
Wow,
yeah.
That is a lap. That is a lap indeed. So now, for the moment, Jeff Nunberg is breathing a small sigh of relief because he's broken away a little bit from Bruce Cleveland. Is Bruce just being wily here and thinking about this and just easing off for a lap or so to have another go? We will see. For sure, this isn't over yet. And you were talking about the 123 car, that glorious liveried car that we can see there of Rob. McWilliams 2:10.688, that fastest lap, and that is a very, very quick lap indeed.
He is currently in the 7th position, but looking at 6th and 5th right in front of him. And then, if he could, it's only a further 4 seconds up to that championship battle that we've got up there. David Veronin and then Cyril Choksi. Those two are the championship contenders. Everybody else just wants the podium.
Of course. And we're into the final third of this race now. And Bruce Cleveland has got back on terms with Jeff Nunberg. So once again, he'll try and provoke a small error from Jeffrey in the 141 car, which would allow him to go through. Now, he is closer on the run up the hill this time, Shay.
He is. Let's see how close he tucks in behind. Look at the shaking
wing.
of the rear wing.
Yeah.
That's from the air disturbance of the car ahead. Really evident as they come down the front straight. Will he be close enough to take a dive into turn 1? I don't think so. And neither is David Veronin to have a dive on Cyril Choksi. Cyril still in that 2nd position. David Veronin going, come on, I want to go catch up to Cameron Root. Let's go faster. Guys, just a little bit of helpful intel. If you don't battle amongst yourselves, you will catch the leader quicker.
Yeah, good, very good point. Thing is, though, it's become a real task for David Veronin, even if he is able to get by Cyril Choksi, because Cameron Root has extended his lead at the front now to some 5.5 seconds, and there is our race leader, Cameron Root, then doing a very good job. And it's textbook driving from Cameron, who's nailing every turn and just quietly going about his business before there's this battle that's going on behind, which is for P2, 3, and 4. And at the moment, the closest of those is, of course, David Veronin on Cyril Choksi, but Gray Falver is lurking not far behind.
I don't want to jinx anything, and so I'm not going to say anything yet about particularly record setting, but for Cameron Root, he has not done a weekend sweep this championship season.
Fair point.
He has that possibility today. So, just putting that out there.
Yep.
With 8 minutes and 13 seconds to go, that should give us another 3 laps in a little bit, maybe 4, depending on where they are when the checkered flag, or the white flag comes out, I should say, where they are timing-wise. But Cyril Choksi, David Veronin, Gray Falver still battling it out for that 2nd and 3rd podium position spots. As Bruce Cleveland having another look at Jeff Nunberg as they come into the brake zone for Canada corner. Nunberg on the brakes early, does not do anything wrong there. Perfect stout defense of the lead of the class.
Really, really impressive driving from both Jeff Nunberg in this battle and also from Cyril Choksi in the Shell battle as well.
Yep.
They are not being pressured into making errors. They're doing everything just right. They're defending their track position, as is their right, and making those drivers behind having to work so very hard and taking more out of themselves and their cars and their tires as well in their quest to try and find a way by.
I haven't seen anything even mildly questionable as far as moves are concerned from Nunberg or Choksi. Very clean driving, very respectful, and I love that our race director, Todd Snyder, has the message, race how you want to be raced, as we have a big incident at the kink. Car number 131, that's Luis Perisquia, right behind, slowing down and very smartly waiting until the dust clears to be able to see if it is safe to go through. I'm scared that this is going to be Neil Langberg, and indeed it was. Went off and across the racetrack. Did he manage to keep it out of the wall? That is the big question. I think he might have skidded back into it.
I think you're right.
We are still green for the time being, though, so maybe Neil able to continue.
Well, now Bruce Cleveland once again really piling the pressure on. You can see the dust cloud is still evident there, and well done to Neil Langberg. What great driving look, and keeping the car right out of the way of everyone else. You can see it's crabbing because of the damage that has been done, which would indicate he did
Broken
make
steering.
contact. Yeah.
Yes, or broken suspension. As there's contact between the leaders and Shell&AM, Bruce Cleveland and Jeffrey Nunberg. Nunberg going around at turn number 7. Cleveland continuing. That was Matt Dalton who was able to sneak on through. Let's see if race control wants to have a look at that again. Going into the brake zone, Cleveland was very far back, stuck the nose down. I don't think Nunberg saw him and turned down across the nose, going for the apex, as you would at that point in the track. Race control, I would imagine, is going to have another look at that, as there's been a change of position in the overall, and Gray Falver is up to 2nd. He got around both Veronin and Choksi.
Wow. So there is Bruce Cleveland then, and Jeffrey Nunberg having gone around, and unfortunately those two coming together on the apex of that turn, and well, we'll see what race control will make of that. So the order then is Cameron Root, Gray Falva, Surreal Choxy now the 1, 2, 3 for Shell drivers. Here is our Shell leader. Then for the AM drivers, of course, it will be all a change right now. So the Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo driver who has extended his lead to 5.8 seconds and has been really faultless in terms of his driving, and primarily because he's had no one round really to bother him at all.
Well, but you know, sometimes that can be the trickiest part, Dave, because sometimes you can get lured into a false sense of security and
Possibly,
get bored.
yes.
And that's when people make mistakes. Well, now we get to see Gray Favre going full out as hard as he can for the last 4.5 minutes of this race. 5.8 seconds was the difference when the pass was made. Let's see how close he can get to Root.
If I can go back to the AM battle just for a moment, of course,
Yeah.
Bruce Cleveland on track is leading the AM battle now.
Good point.
Who's P2 and who's P3? It's Lisa Clark and Dan Cornish.
And then P4, Darren Bernstein. So it is another good day from Darren, who is looking to try and get to the podium once again. But a very interesting turn of events there that I'm sure race control will be examining closely, as they always do. Jeff Nunberg has made it back around the track and into the pit lane, by the way. So from the lead to not finishing this race, really unfortunate. Neil Langberg, by the way, also finding a safe place to get behind the wall. Very, very impressive driving from Neil, and respectful to all the competitors out there. I'm flabbergasted that we don't have a car in a million pieces going off like that at the Kinks. So Neil, you've got your guardian angel with you today.
Yes, and as you say, really hugely respectful for all the other competitors as well. So it's great to see, and that's very much the tune when it comes to Ferrari driving. As we see Osvaldo Gallo then in the 193 car climbing up the hill, being chased down by Rob McWilliams, who it's a beautiful car that we heard all about in terms of the livery a little bit earlier on in our program, and there you can see they are P6 and P7, and just taking a look at the last and best lap comparison between those two drivers in graphics on the screen for you. And my goodness me, where has the race gone? Because we're into the final 3 minutes, Shay.
It is worth noting also, Dave, that the championships cannot be wrapped up from today's race. They will go to the Finale Mondiale in Italy, so nobody will leave here with that peace of mind saying, I've done everything I could and I don't even need to get on the plane to go to Italy. It's just a vacation. No, there will still be work that needs to be done for everybody across the pond. But as now we have Frank Szczesniak in the battle for the 4th position, he has caught up to David Veronin.
He has, and we saw yesterday glimpses of just how great Frank Szczesniak can be in terms of driving, and if I may say so, a bit unorthodox sometimes in where he places the car for an overtake, but generally, oftentimes it does work, and hugely entertaining for us. So David Veronin at the moment is really having to defend that P4 position.
David Veronin had an issue on lap 11, lost 5 seconds. That would have had something to do with the pass with Gray Favre getting around he and Surreal Choxy. Surreal is actually 8.8 seconds off of Favre. So Favre has lit the afterburners after getting clear of both of those cars. Surreal's still with the podium position, though, from today. He'll be happy with that, but not completely satisfied.
No, you always want more, and quite rightly so, as we watch the Ray Acosta. It's the three-way fight that's going on for P8 between Paul Loska, Ray Acosta, and Tor Haugen. That's the battle for P8 in Coppa Shell between these 3 drivers. The Shell drivers all with yellow strips across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can identify them there, and this battle is hotting up then. Oh, and other battles that have hotted up.
Steve Lance Colley, and Roger Monteforte. As the white flag is now waving, all 3 cars are able to continue. Well done, gentlemen, getting your Ferraris pointed in the right direction. The respect that everyone has for the competition, not wanting to be the cause of a yellow flag, just magnificent. So let's see what happened here. Lance Colley came from very far back. Steve Check didn't see him there, didn't think he was going to be making that move, and Monteforte avoiding.
Yes, really good from Roger, who really had to pile on the right-hand lock, didn't he, to try and avoid that lot. But he did it, and we're on the final lap then. The final lap that Cameron Root, and actually, you could see in that camera shot, Gray Falva is there, 4 and a bit seconds behind. So Cameron, if you keep it clean and tidy on this lap, I suspect that you're going to be okay, friend. But Gray Falva, Gray Falva has really really taken advantage and has got much, much closer to Cameron Root.
And in the Coppa Shell&AM category, it is Bruce Cleveland leading on the track for now. Lisa Clark is second, Dan Cornish in third. Dan is close-ish to Lisa, but not quite there yet. And Lisa does her personal best lap 2 laps ago. That last time around was right there as well, though. So really good pace we're still seeing from Lisa Clark, championship leader.
And there she is then, rounding turn number 1 to start what will be her final lap, and holding on to this P2 on track place at the moment. We keep saying that because we think that race control will take a look at that incident earlier on between Jeff Nunberg and Bruce Cleveland. So the final lap then for Lisa Clark, Dan Cornish running in P3, but this is our Coppa Shell race leader, Cameron Root. It'll be an awesome weekend for him if he can go all the way to the checkered flag, and based on what he's doing so far, you certainly wouldn't bet against that. He's got a few hundred meters or so of this track still to do, but Cameron has been faultless really in terms of his driving, in terms of his qualifying pace, and in terms of his success, because he's going up the hill now. Gray Falva has really chased him down, but for Cameron Root, it is going to be victory once again as he takes the checkered flag for Coppa Shell, and it's going to be Gray Falva then that takes P2 in Coppa Shell, and Surreal Choxy will hold on one things for P3. In the meantime, Bruce Cleveland running in that P1 position in Coppa Shell&AM. And here we can see Cleveland. Ahead of him is Matt Dalton, who is in a different class. So Bruce Cleveland will not be pushing too hard to get on terms with Dalton, because it is not only the final few turns, but it's an out-of-class battle as well. So he has done enough. So Cameron Root, Gray Falva, Surreal Choxy confirmed as the top 3 across the line in the Shell category, and here comes Bruce Cleveland to head up the hill and towards the checkered flag, and he takes that now, and certainly on track continues his unbeaten record of 4 straight wins, and going to be P2, Lisa Clark ahead of Dan Cornish running in P3, and well, Cleveland some way ahead of those others, the Ferrari Silicon Valley driver then, and he now on his slowing down lap as the rest of the order coming through on track now and passing that checkered flag, and it was and is confirmed as Lisa Clark and Dan Cornish in P2 and P3 for the Mo.
First time that Cameron Root has had a win and a pole in both races on the weekend. Big celebration for the young man, as he is very happy to see friends and family as he gets out of the car. Very well-earned weekend victory for him. And he actually got a present last night, a bit of tequila from Ferrari, as Dobell is one of the sponsors. And he very wisely kept it in the box last night, but I think now he's earned it. And maybe, just maybe, hospitality has some alcoholic beverage that he could very rightfully have earned at this point of the weekend, Dave.
It's very possible.
Yep.
It's very possible, isn't it?
I've heard rumors it exists in there. I've seen rumors. Gray Falva with another second place finish. Great drive from Gray. That means he has done 5 races. They've been 3 wins and 2 second place finishes. So very good effort from Gray.
Very good, and he you know, he again was opportunistic. He took his chances, didn't he? And he was able to do that.
6 races, I was correct. Yesterday he was 3rd. So he has had 1 third place finish, 2 seconds, and 3 wins, as well as a couple of podiums, a couple of poles, and fast laps. So very good performance that we've seen from Gray Falva. Really hope he comes back to race in this championship full-time next year instead of just the select starts. Another podium finish as well for Surreal Choxy. This is his 4th third place finish on the year. Really strong run he is having as well.
Yes, I agree with you, and it's been really interesting and rewarding to watch how Surreal Choxy has developed as a driver, and it's really, really good. Let's get the results for you in full now then. On screen, here come the graphics. Taking the win in Coppa Shell, Cameron Root ahead of Gray Falva and Surreal Choxy. David Veronin off the podium, P4. Frank Szczesniak, P5. Rob Wink-Williams, P6. Osvaldo Gallo, Paul Loska for Haugen, and Ray Acosta. They're occupying positions 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then it was Roy Carroll and Matt Dalton. Bruce Cleveland, Coppa Shell&AM, P1, P13 in the race overall. Then it was Lisa Clark and Dan Cornish ahead of Darren Bernstein, Lance Corley, who was able to recover, and Steve Check. Of course, Lance Corley having something of a go going into that turn, which didn't quite pay off, but nonetheless having a go ahead of Roger Monteforte, David Williams, Lupo Squire, Jeff Nunberg. Of course, brought the car back into the pit lane, and down in the pit lane and outside of the podium, I suspect, is Amanda Busick.
Oh, and just a ton of celebrations here for an incredible weekend for Cameron Root. Sweeps the weekend here at Road America. And I can tell you this gaggle of people behind you that were here celebrating, they were lined up at that fence as you came into this last corner here at Road America. I was standing next to your dad who's over there. He said, "That's my son. That's my son." What clicked for you here this weekend?
Put in a lot of practice. I knew the importance of this race with the points being so tight. I'd wake up at 1:30 in the morning. I'd go right to my simulator. I'd go spend an hour or two on there, whatever it took. You know, a lot of people try to practice until they get it right. I tried to practice until I couldn't get it wrong.
We talked about during the broadcast that your championship is going to come down to being on Italian soil at the Finale Mondiale. How does that sound?
You couldn't write it any better.
I know you wanted to thank a few people, and this is your interview. Who's the shout out?
All right, first of all, I want to thank my Uncle Ron, my Aunt Janet for coming here. I got my cousin Brett and Jen. I got Jeff and Laura. I got my mom, my dad, my stepmom, my brother, my sister. I got Kevin from Ron Tonkin Gran Turismo. I got a lot of family and friends working at home. Thank you, High Performance Homes. Thank you, ABC Supply. Dream come true.
If you too would like to join the Cameron Root fan club, allow me to give you the website address. Well done, Cameron. He did that really well, didn't he?
That was genius, Cameron. You hit everybody, and to anybody that he forgot, Cameron loves and supports you too. That was great. Let's take a look at how the championship looks after today's race. In Coppa Shell, Cameron Root with a 19-point advantage over David Verone and Cyril Choksi in third, 24 points back. And Gray Favre, after a very much partial season, is fourth in the championship. There are 34 points on offer maximum for any drivers, so that means that Cyril Choksi and David Veronin both still have a shot at this championship, but they're going to have to take it from Cameron Root's fist.
Oh, that was awesome, wasn't it?
That was great. And that's why we do this. That's why we love Ferrari Challenge.
It is the characters and the personalities that compete in this, and not only compete in it, but the engineers and the coaches and the team bosses, etc., etc. It's just a wonderful atmosphere. I cannot explain enough, because genuinely that is true. Drivers' Championship points then for Coppa Shell&AM. Lisa Clark on 117, 9 points ahead of Bruce Cleveland. Dan Cornish 27 points behind in P3.
And then Lance Colley still with the shot at it in fourth place, 31 points off of Lisa Clark. When he came in this weekend, he was in second. So that is going to be something that he'll have to work up with his coach on, Jeff Westphal, going forward into the Finale Mondiale, where you can imagine he will definitely be there.
I said to Jeff actually a little bit earlier on today, I said, "You're not bad at this coaching lark, are you?" Let's hear from Bruce Cleveland now. He's with Amanda.
And Dave, Bruce knows that kerfuffle is under review by Race Control, and I've seen you and your thoughts about it this entire time standing next to you. We don't get to influence Race Control. You don't either, but what's your perspective of it?
I thought that I gave him driving room, and I stayed on the driving line. Obviously, I don't like hitting anybody, and I feel bad. Jeff was driving a phenomenal race, and it was a pretty hard race. So, the race director and the crew will tell us what happened, but I don't like to win off of those kinds of things, and I need to talk to Jeff.
All of that being said, it's been a mega 2 weekends before you. Sometimes drivers just have it. Describe it.
I think it's just everybody's got a passion to win, but I feel like my momentum has improved since the beginning of the season, my really first season. So I think it's beginning to pay off all the work that we've done.
We'll see you at Magello.
Thanks.
Well, Bruce there, kind of echoing the sentiments of the drivers all around. You know what I mean? They do have healthy respect for their competitors. Of course, when you're out there and the crash helmet's on you, you're going to go for it, aren't you? But that's what they're doing. Let's see what Race Control think of that. From Shay and from myself, thank you so much for watching Coppa Shell. We have Trofeo Pirelli race still to come, though. Bye-bye for now.